Out of Washington, the House Select Committee investigating the January 6th attack on Capitol Hill held its 8th public hearing today.
And you saw it live right here on KITV4. The committee heard from former President Donald Trump's White House aides. Jay O'Brien tells us what they say happened during the attack.
The House Select Committee investigating the deadly January 6th insurrection, laying out its case that former President Donald Trump knew about the violent breach of the U.S. Capitol, watching the chaos unfold on television, and still waited hours to tell his supporters to go home.
President Trump did not fail to act. He chose not to act.
The day after the attack, Trump recorded this video. The panel playing outtakes showing Trump hesitant to condemn the rioters and unable to accept his election loss.
I don't want to say the election's over.
The committee showing White House logs with no official record of what Trump did while the riot unfolded. Witnesses testifying in the midst of the Capitol attack, Trump was calling senators to ask them to object to the 2020 election results.
Did you ever hear the president ask for law enforcement response?
No.
Former Trump White House counsel Pat Cipollone recounting multiple advisors pleading with the former president for hours to condemn the attack and call on the rioters to leave, and saying the president didn't listen.
And I said, people need to be told, there needs to be a public announcement fast that they need to leave the Capitol.
Two former Trump White House aides, Deputy Press Secretary Sarah Matthews and Deputy National Security Advisor Matthew Pottinger, testifying live. Both resigned in the aftermath of the Capitol attack, describing how they reacted to Trump's response.
He should have been telling these people to go home and to leave and to condemn the violence that we are seeing.
The former president continues to lash out at the committee, calling their investigation rigged and one-sided. But Trump's inaction, the committee says, put the country at risk as the peaceful transfer of power was under siege. The committee announcing tonight they will hold more hearings in September after spending the next month gathering evidence. Committee Chair Benny Thompson, who has COVID and spoke remotely, saying there must be, quote, stiff consequences for all involved in January 6th, including the former president. On Capitol Hill, Jay O'Brien, ABC News.
Meanwhile, the trial continues for Steve Bannon, Trump's former senior advisor, who's facing 2 counts of contempt of Congress. Rena Roy reports.
The jury is back in court today for day 4 of Steve Bannon's contempt of Congress trial. The far-right Trump ally is facing 2 counts of contempt of Congress and a maximum of 2 years in prison. The government saying he ignored a subpoena from the January 6th House Select Committee. Bannon defiant Wednesday.
They will never shut me up and never shut me down.
The former Trump advisor's defense team getting a turn to present their case, suggesting the charges are politically motivated, saying Bannon never willfully ignored the committee and was engaged in a back and forth about why he wouldn't testify on the date the committee demanded. The government calling 2 witnesses before resting their case, including a senior staffer for that committee, who said investigators viewed Bannon as an important witness to the Capitol insurrection and that they wanted to ask him what he knew, including why Bannon said this on his podcast the day before January 6th.
All hell is going to break loose tomorrow.
Bannon was fired by former President Trump from his job as a White House senior strategist in 2017. Bannon initially claimed he couldn't testify before the committee because of executive privilege, a power only a sitting president can invoke to keep certain information private. But a week before trial, Bannon revealing this letter from former President Trump, claiming to waive executive privilege, permitting Bannon to talk. But on Wednesday, when that committee staffer took the stand, she testified that the president never actually invoked executive privilege over Bannon's testimony, and Bannon was warned many times that he must comply with the subpoena. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.